Hello, Dawg Nation. It's Brandon Adams, the host of DawgNation Daily, the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldogs fans. And today for us, a very big day. It's the final day of our Gator Hater Countdown as Georgia gets ready to play Florida in Jacksonville tomorrow. A lot on that game and, of course, a lot on the commitment of four-star running back James Cook. What a time it is to be a Dog fan. We're talking about it all and having a lot of fun, maybe even getting the cocktail party started a little early. It's DawgNation Daily, and it begins right now.
Presented by DawgNation.com. This is DawgNation Daily, the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldogs fans. Here's your host, Brandon Adams.
Always fun to do DawgNation Daily on a day with some big news, and today is certainly an example of that on two fronts. We'll talk about a commitment of four-star running back James Cook, and we'll get ready to prepare for the game against Florida tomorrow. Let me push the Florida stuff aside just for the moment. Most of what we say about James Cook today will be said with Jeff Sintel when he joins us by phone here in just a few minutes. But, kind of off the top, I want to say something to our audience during our video-audio broadcast that I said just on video yesterday near the end of our time together when I take questions and comments from some of our DawgNation Daily viewers. And what I said is, for the people who listen to this show, this is a show that's not really mainstream media, right? We talk about Georgia football every day. We talk a lot about recruiting. Most of the guys that, are recruits for Georgia, household names for us, whereas they may not be that way for the mainstream media. One of the things that I said yesterday was watch the media reaction if Georgia does get the good news about Cook, which many of you already expected. Watch the level of shock and awe from them about Georgia adding another big-name player, and in this case, one that mainstream media is going to recognize because it's Dalvin Cook's brother. You are seeing some example of that already. We'll talk to Jeff later on about what this means for Georgia, but pretty clearly there's a level of excitement about people even outside the bubble of DawgNation about just how much work Kirby Smart's doing on the recruiting trail at the moment. And for Smart, this isn't just for the class of 2018. It was true for him in 2017 and 2016. And it's that talent advantage brought to you by recruiting. One of the big reasons why I think that Georgia is rightly a favorite over Florida this weekend. And one of the reasons when we look back a year ago at this game, we saw the potential for the tide to turn in this rivalry. Kirby Smart's just a better recruiter than Jim McElwain is. He's building a better program. He's establishing a better roster, and I think Georgia's going to get a lot of wins in this series in the years ahead. And I think the first of those for Kirby Smart and Georgia comes tomorrow. We'll also talk about that a lot on the show here today. But I kind of wanted to do something special today because obviously this rivalry game means so much to me, and I've enjoyed hearing from so many of you as of late about just how much it means to you. It's one of those, I think, unique rivalries in college football because of the neutral side. It's an important game for Georgia in addition to the border war-style hatred because, let's face it, the Dogs haven't won enough. And there's this sense of anticipation, and all of that for Georgia is going to start to change on Saturday. Not because Florida's going to lay down and die. I'm sure they'll fight hard. But because Georgia as a program and as a team is just getting better, dramatically better from the team that went to Jacksonville to play Florida a year ago, and we'll see evidence of that again tomorrow. So as a way of kind of setting up what's going to happen tomorrow, I thought it might be fun to kind of go back to the past a little bit. And this is true for our audio audience, whether you're listening on the radio or listening in podcast form. Our video audience, if you're watching us here, we've teamed up with a really cool group called the UGA Vault. Now, you may have seen the UGA Vault before. They've got a terrific Twitter feed. Some of you may have already downloaded the app here as well. You can go to get.ugavault.com, and you can get a free download of the app that has access to the audio and video you're about to hear over the course of the next couple of minutes as we kind of reminisce about some of the great moments in Georgia-Florida history. Not because we're obsessed with the past or we're looking back to, bygone yesteryear of Georgia football, but because we also believe that there's some really good memories, the kinds of things we'll look back on decades from now that are about to happen for this program. Now, will it be as special as it was in 1980? Be hard to match that. But here, courtesy of the UGA Vault, let me let you hear the call of Larry Munson, and if you're watching on video, you can actually see some highlights here of Buck Bellew to Lindsey Scott, a game that preserved an opportunity for Georgia to win a national championship in 1980, and a nice way to get us in all the right frame of mind as we get ready for the cocktail party tomorrow. It's good to have you with us on DawgNation Daily.
They may or may not blitz. They won't. Buck back third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Then a throw and a run. Complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey Scott 35, 40. Lindsey Scott 45, 50, 45, 40. Run Lindsey. 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey Scott. Lindsey Scott. Lindsey Scott.
Larry, if you want a miracle, we just got one. Incredible play. Lindsey Scott caught the ball around the 40. There were a couple of players that had an angle. He knew that he had to run as fast as he possibly could.
Well, I can't believe it. 92 yards, and Lindsey really got in a foot race. I broke my chair. I came right through a chair, a metal steel chair with about a 5-inch cushion. I broke it. The booth came apart. The stadium fell down. Now they do have to renovate this thing. They'll have to rebuild it now. This is incredible. Well, we might call time. We've only got a 5-point lead, and by the way, there's 1:03, and we got to give the ball back to those guys. I didn't mean to beg Lindsey to run, but I had to. 26-21. You know, this game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight and up at St. Simon's and Jekyll Island and all those places where all those dog people have got these condominiums for 4 days? Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight. 26-21. Dawgs on top. We were gone. I gave up. You did too. We were out of it and gone. Miracle.
So really good stuff there from the UGA Vault. I invite you to download that. You can go to get.ugavault.com for your free download. They've got all that, the history of the Georgia-Florida series. You can search that database there and get all of that. And how about the Munson call? And, you know, for those of you lucky enough to be watching on video, some of that stuff is video that I haven't seen that much of, including the team kind of going back to the tunnel, you know, through the tunnel back to the locker room after the game was over with, and the celebration that was happening there on the field. And boy, wouldn't it be nice to see the same kind of thing happening here again this year as well. But that's not the only Georgia-Florida memory I want to look back on. We're also on the 10-year anniversary of one of the strangest game in this series, what happened in 2007. When coming off the start of the game, Georgia decided to lean on Knowshon Moreno over and over again. Moreno churning up rushing yards, and then finally putting the ball over the goal line and the celebration that everybody in college football still talks about 10 years later. Here's this from 2007, courtesy of the UGA Vault.
On 3rd and goal. Moreno up over the top. Did he break the plane? Yes. Georgia, touchdown. And here comes the entire team. Watch this for excessive celebration. We may have 15 hankies in the air on this one. I can't believe this.
This was planned. This was absolutely planned. Mark Richt decided that he is going to try to fire his team up. He's tired of Florida having the psychological advantage. He's willing to give up the penalty. Look at that. That was a planned move.
Well, they are reviewing the play to
what
see
if it's reversed?
And did he break the plane? The answer is yes.
Would that be something? Get a 15-yard penalty, get it reversed, they'd be back on a 15-yard line.
So here's the thing about the 2007 game and the celebration that you hear Vern Lundquist and Gary Danielson talking about there. I guess there is a way to view that as maybe a mistake for Mark Richt, something that he shouldn't have done. You know, obviously the 2008 game doesn't go the way that Georgia wants, and Urban Meyer kind of rubbed Richt's face in a little bit. But I have to admit, in the time, and I don't know where you were 10 years ago, what you were thinking, I thought Richt's decision there was a pretty good idea, and I do think it changed the tone of that game. I think Florida's response to it was poor. I think that Urban Meyer kind of got knocked off his axis a bit. I'm not saying that Georgia won that game because they celebrated the Moreno touchdown the way they did, but I do think it helped, and it made Florida mad. And here on this show, we believe that if Florida's mad about it, then it must be a pretty good idea for Georgia, and that may be an example of that there. And as I said, we do celebrate the 10-year anniversary of that. And even though a lot of the games after that for Georgia and Florida didn't go the way that Dog fans wanted, my memories of 2007 are still really good. There's one more clip I want to play for you here, just to kind of get us all in the right frame of mind. All this, once again, as I said, courtesy of the UGA Vault, which you can get a free download of if you go to get.ugavault.com. But it's another 10 years before that. The 10-year anniversary of the 2007 game, also the 20-year anniversary of the 1997 game. You'll think about the impact that Hines Ward made on this game and Robert Edwards. But there's also a guy on defense who stepped up and made a pretty big play here as well. And that helped the Dogs get that victory over Steve Spurrier's Gators. And it's a name Georgia fans still think of very fondly today. Here's Munson with the call, the video, if you're watching, of a great moment from 1997.
And drops back. Got a man coming on him as he throws. We dive, and I think we intercepted up on the 38. Skidding on the ground, Kirby Smart's got the ball. Diving on the ball that Doug Johnson threw poorly and low and away from a receiver. Now we had a man breaking in to grab his legs as he was going to throw. Antonio Cochran had pressure on him.
First of all, how great is it to hear those Larry Munson calls again, courtesy of the UGA Vault, and for the young whippersnappers in our audience who may not actually realize that Kirby Smart, when he played, was a pretty good player. You see him coming over and getting that interception, and this is a guy that Dominic Sanders just passed his interception total at Georgia, to give you a sense of the kind of career that Kirby Smart put together wearing the red and black, and of course now he wears those same colors as a UGA coach. And here on DawgNation Daily, I'm a big believer that those great memories that we just look back on for the Georgia-Florida rivalry, they're only going to grow in the years ahead. The cocktail party is about to feel very different, and I think that difference is going to start to be felt as soon as this Saturday. My name is Brandon Adams. This is DawgNation Daily, the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldogs fans. We are so glad to have you with us. Whether you're watching us on video on Facebook Live, of course, we're there for you each and every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. on the DawgNation Facebook page. We're also available for you as well on the radio at noon every day on Athens Sports Radio 960 The Ref, and in podcast form. We'll post the show for you at the world-famous DawgNation.com, also on iTunes, coming soon, I guess, on Google Play. We haven't done that yet for our Android users, but we'll try to take good care of y'all on that. Just thanks for being a part of DawgNation Daily. And for those of you who've been with us for the last year, we've been counting it down each and every day of the year, and we are finally to the end. Just 1 day away. Our Gator Hater Countdown has reached day 1. Tomorrow we head to Jacksonville for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and we hope to see Georgia correct the negative history of this series against Florida and get Dog fans thinking about a brand new era there in Jacksonville. Of course, when we think about the DawgNation invasion to Jacksonville, for us it starts tonight. We're going to be at Dos Gatos restaurant in downtown Jacksonville with our friends from Dixie Vodka. We're going to be hanging out with you there starting at 8 p.m. So we'll look forward to seeing you at Dos Gatos tonight but basically it's our kickoff to our DawgNation invasion with our friends from Dixie Vodka. We'll do that for you tonight from 8 to 11 p.m. It's 123 East Forsyth Street in Jacksonville. That's a downtown location there for Dos Gatos. That's going to be a lot of fun. Then you roll right into the next morning, 10 a.m., for our DawgNation Invasion Tailgate, as we'll be hanging out right there for you at the touchdown lot, right there off Bryan Street, near Gate 6, starting at 10 a.m. Big day for us. It's 4 televisions, Jeff Sintel and I hanging out, watching those with you. Also, while supplies last. You see me wearing the red Gator Hater t-shirt today? Well, you know what? Tomorrow, if you haven't gotten a chance to get yours yet, courtesy of our sponsors, R.S. Andrews and Dixie Vodka, Marlowe's, and Kroger, we're going to be giving away a whole bunch of these red Gator Hater t-shirts. So get there early. Say hello to us. Let us know you want to get a red Gator Hater t-shirt. Let us know that you are a Gator Hater first and foremost, and we'll see if we can get you one while supplies last on that. Of course, our big event all brought to you by our sponsors, including, as I said, R.S. Andrews, the home of the guaranteed $99 furnace tune-up. I don't know about y'all, but here in Georgia where I live, my house has just been cold over the last couple days, so it's kind of nice to think that that furnace is tuned up and running the way it's supposed to. You want to trust R.S. Andrews for that. You can get them to make sure your furnace works all winter long the way it should. You can check them out online at rsandrews.com. They're the home of the guaranteed $99 furnace tune-up. All right, we'll have Jeff Sintel here in a moment. Before that, though, let me add a few names to our Gator Hater roll call. Now, I'm short on time, so I'm going to squeeze in as many of these as I can. And if we don't get yours in, certainly I appreciate you doing that. But at DawgNation Daily, people have been reaching out to me on Twitter, letting me know that they are a Gator Hater. We'll show you a few of these on the screen. We'll say hello to a few of these folks here, including Brandon Giddens, who gives us one of those great drawings from the local artist Dave Hellwig. Dave's a great UGA Gator Hater, and he's had some great artwork that's shown up on our show here a lot over the past few days. We appreciate Brandon on that. We'll show you a couple more here, including Brett Fordham, who's right there in front of a building in Florida and the Gator statue. He's put his dog hat there on that. Brett, that's a great work by you. Terrific Gator Hater there. Show you a couple more here. I love Angie Oliver giving us a nice meme there of Dwight Schrute from the audit office. Says the Gator's going to be destroyed like the Death Star. That's cool stuff from Angie. Show you a couple more here. I love this from someone at their work who showed a car with a Gators license plate in the front, essentially parked sideways, taking up 3 parking spaces, and nothing says Florida fans more than that. That's exactly what you'd expect to see, and a terrific addition to our Gator Hater roll call here. We'll add a couple more here. Katie lets us know on Twitter that she's got a button that says jorts with the line through it, and no doubt we'll see a lot of those jean shorts tomorrow. I love Katie and her button there that says she doesn't like the jorts. Our buddy Mad Dog 19 on Twitter, Michael Morrow, says the only good Gator is a grilled Gator, and he's got his Gator right there on the grill. He's taking care of that. Michael, that's good stuff to see. Let's see if we can squeeze in a couple more of these. Whiskey Soup gives us that funny Bugs Bunny meme you may have seen before with Kirby Smart's face on it. I like that. Any more of these that we can squeeze in and show right quick, or did we get them all right there? We got them all right there, so you can keep sending those in. We'll keep having fun with that, and today's going to be a day of fun here on DawgNation Daily. We've got some surprises coming up for you later on, but I know you want to get back and talk a little bit more about the James Cook commitment. Let's do that right now as we get ready to say hello to Jeff Sintel. It's great to have you with us on DawgNation Daily. And we'll get Jeff coming up here in just a moment. Many of you may see if you're watching us on video. Of course, if you're hearing me right now, you are watching us on video. I've got my Dixie Vodka bottle here. I've got my items from Kroger. A little later on, Kroger's got a great idea for a cocktail for the cocktail party. So that's going to be kind of a cool thing to see and do. We'll do that a little bit later on. While I'm waiting on Jeff to be up and running and ready to go here, let me ask some of you, did you enjoy the highlights in the UGA Vault? Was that a cool thing to do on this Friday to kind of look back on some of that kind of stuff? I'd love to hear from your thoughts on that if you enjoyed that here today while we get ready to talk to Jeff. Mike Mazzell says run the score up as far as high as we can go. Yeah, that might be something a lot of Georgia fans would like to see. Wyatt Fielden says James Cook is a beast. Can't wait till next year. So we'll enjoy that. Tyler Herring says enjoy the highlights. Chris Little says, am I going to sip, Brandon? You know, before we're all said and done here today, maybe we'll get the cocktail party started a little early. I mean, after all, we've got we've got a lot of reasons to, right? Between the James Cook commitment, what you expect to happen tomorrow, the fact that the Dogs are keeping it rolling. We'll obviously have plenty of reason to do that. Jeff Eisenberg also says that that gets him lathered up. He can't wait. Well, I can't wait as well. And I also can't wait for Jeff Sintel. And speaking of that, he's ready to go right now. Let's get ready to welcome him to the program, and plenty more fun to come after that.
From Athens and across the SEC or wherever the recruiting trail may lead, here's a DawgNation.com insider.
Literally on his way right now to meet me here at DawgNation World Headquarters as he and I and some of our colleagues and special significant others get ready to make our way over to Jacksonville later on today as soon as DawgNation Daily is done. It is Jeff Sintel here on DawgNation Daily. And I guess, Jeff, let me say good morning. Thanks for being a part of our program today. A lot to talk to you about. I hope you're doing well. All right, I'm not getting Jeff here. We'll see if we can get Jeff taken care of. Not hearing from Jeff on that right now. We'll see if we can figure out what's going on and get ready to talk to him. While we're waiting to figure that out, I'll talk to some of you. By the way, Nate Thomas enjoyed the months and highlights from a little earlier, courtesy of the UJ Vault. Hunter Cash says, "Where you at, Jeff?" We'll get Jeff figured out here in just a moment. Austin Moore says, how does the recruiting look on who's going to be left out with all these guys coming in? We'll certainly talk more about that. Let me, though, for now, get ready to bring in Jeff Sintel and say, Jeff, how you doing today? Everything going well?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. How are you, Brandon?
Doing really well. Obviously, a lot I want to talk to you about. Let me begin with this, though, and that is the commitment of four-star running back James Cook. Kind of a way to kind of get the cocktail party started early for a lot of Georgia fans who are obviously excited about adding now the nation's number 3 running back to go along with the nation's number 1 running back in Zamir White. It's not necessarily a surprise that Cook joins Georgia, so you've had some time to probably marinate on this. What are your thoughts about seeing the Dogs do such big work with a tandem of running backs for the class of 2018?
Well, Brandon, I like that word. It's marinating, I guess, like all this fresh gator tail we've got in the back of this vehicle to bring down to Jacksonville.
That's right.
But I'll say this, man. Kind of previewing the blog today a little bit. What you got here is you've got, I kind of asked the family. I kind of asked, okay, the commitment's out there like yesterday, and I said, basically the simplest question was like, why Georgia? And I guess the gushing geysers of positive Georgia stuff, a lot of that will be in the blog this morning, but was basically, why not Georgia? His mother said, "Oh my gosh, Jeff, do you see what Georgia is doing there? Do you see what they're building? Do you see everything special that they're trying to build there at Georgia?" She is no doubt thinking there is a very bright future ahead for the University of Georgia. And considering the way that these players are stacking up, the "we ain't done yet" tally is going up, man. I tell you what, it's awful hard to just cover the day-to-day recruiting of Georgia. I never thought I would say this, because there's so many guys committing every other day, man. You got to stop what you're doing on other projects in order to cover these big announcements.
Well, let's talk about who has given us the "we ain't done yet" over the last 24 hours. Heard it from KRS Jackson, the 4-star wide receiver. Heard it from Justin Fields, at least a variation of that, the 5-star quarterback. And a lot of the "we ain't done yet" for 2018 is because of Fields. I mean, you talk about something you never thought you would say. Jeff, here's something I never thought I would say. Right now, this 2018 class feels a lot like the 2017 class did. Now, there may not be the vocal leader like a Richard LeCount having emerged yet, but in terms of excitement about guys who want to play together and kind of a rush to be a part of this class and kind of that wink, nod between some guys who are not public commits about who may still be a part of this. I mean, the fun, exciting, happy vibes of 2017 are, for the moment, being duplicated here for the class of 2018.
Well, Brandon, I hate to rain on your parade, man, but it's kind of going to be the norm from now on. This is the way Georgia recruits, the way they're winning on the football field now. Here's a big takeaway where it's not the same as 2016 and the push to the class of 17 is Georgia's unbeaten. They're 7-0. The on-field product matches all the good vibes that people feel on the recruiting trail and all these other visits. And I'm going to say this. This is probably just going to be the normalcy for Georgia football for the years going forward. They're always going to contend for these great players. There's always going to be a lot of buzz. And, I mean, kind of like yesterday on Twitter, you see guys like Tyson Campbell and KJ Henry acknowledging the James Cook announcement with words like, "way to go, family," or "great job, family."
Yeah.
There are things cooking right now for the Georgia Bulldogs. And I'm not talking about the Gator Tail in Amelia Island or St. Simons or on the banks of the St. Johns River either, brother.
Yeah, that's very well said. And right now, 24/7 Sports Composite Team Ranking has Georgia at number 5. You're better at crunching these numbers than I am. But my guess is between now and February, when this is all finalized, I'm guessing we don't see Georgia dip below 5. Is that right?
Yeah, Georgia's not going to dip below 5, even if some of those other schools sign the Green Bay Packers minor league team or something like that, man. What you're having here is, again, I've wrote about this on the blog a little bit, is it's a continuing reshuffling of the top 2 or 3 names or top 4 names on the Georgia recruiting board. James Cook, kind of like Adam Anderson, kind of like KRS Jackson, kind of like Azeez Ojulari. James Cook is another name that goes right in there to the top of the Georgia recruiting board. That was the same thing for Justin Fields as well. James Cook is now Georgia's 3rd highest recruit. He's the nation's number 35 overall prospect. And there are 3 guys above him right now that I do like Georgia's chances for going forward.
Oh, wow. That's certainly an interesting little teaser there. But as far as more on Cook here for a moment, you know, the name that I think comes up in terms of the most likely comparison to him on the Georgia roster right now is probably Sony Michel. Now, I do think, in fairness to Michel, he's shown himself to be a better runner between the tackles than Cook's been able to show. Maybe, obviously, Cook's still in high school, so that's maybe not the most fair comparison. But you know, Michel has certainly added that layer of physical toughness and true between the tackles tailback work. But is Michel the closest comparison you're going to make between James Cook right now?
Well, I know everybody loves those player parallels, and so I had one that I was cooking up for the last few weeks about what I think about James Cook. And I think the best comparison I can give is somewhere between, at least initially in Georgia, is somewhere between Isaiah McKenzie and then the great Percy Harvin, who started at Florida. I think James Cook's skill set initially, he's going to work the corners, he's going to hit the edges. I think right there, initially, that's what Georgia's going to look like when they feature James Cook.
All right, I want to talk to you some more about the Georgia-Florida game coming up on Saturday. You and I are going to be driving down to Jacksonville a little later on today. Before that, there's also, I think, some pretty important business we need to take care of. You know, Jeff, you and I made our acting debut this week, courtesy of our friends at Kroger and the Kroger Click List. We haven't really had a chance to talk much about this. You've seen the film of you. You've, I guess, seen the film of me as well. Overall, how did you think we did? Do you think we pulled off these roles? Now, somebody on Twitter to me said, how hard is it to play yourself? And I guess that's a fair question. But it's probably harder than at least maybe I realized going in. How do you think we pulled it off here? And how do you think we looked there on celluloid for the world to see?
Well, first of all, that Mr. Adams deserves a Emmy nomination for his screenwriting credit for all that stuff. I mean, and then the prop work by folks like Kelly Grizzard and Nate Gettleman that I somehow found a whole lot of big, sexy hair gel for the guy that's usually rocking a fade. I will say, as far as acting goes, Brandon, let me just trot this out. Somewhere between pro wrestlers, as far as acting goes, and maybe Denzel and Robert De Niro. Somewhere between there, I think it's a good safe spot. I can say this: we're probably better actors than Arn Anderson and Barry Windham. It's not.
Watch your tongue there. Watch your tongue there, my friend. Just be really careful. Watch your tongue. I know a lot of you have seen this, and if you're listening, maybe you had a chance to kind of hear us do what we're doing. But let me give you a little taste of Jeff and me telling our story about the Kroger Click List. And if you're listening, listen to hear how we kind of pull these words off. And if you're watching, do we sell this with our facial expressions? Here is Jeff and I for the Kroger Click List.
So that's why I think Georgia's going to beat Florida on Saturday. Now here on DawgNation Daily, I want to transition.
Brandon, Charles Adams, come on, man, let's go.
Jeff Sintel, what are you doing here? I'm in the middle of my show.
Brandon, what are you doing here with the Daily, man? We got DawgNation Invasion, Georgia, Florida.
The tailgate, the groceries. We forgot to buy the groceries from Kroger.
Brandon, Kroger Click List. They got our back. Now let's go, man.
All right, let's go. Wait, I almost forgot. Y'all, enjoy the game. I'll see you next time. I got to get to Kroger.
Hi, Jeff and Brandon.
That's us.
Thank you for using ClickList. Enjoy the game.
Hey, thanks so much. All right, Jeff, let's see what we have here.
All right, man, I've got some chips. We got seasoning.
Yes, that's for my fried gator tail. You better believe it. I'm ready to go now. What else we got here? Oh, my gosh, what is this? Is this
veggie pizza?
Hey, did you really get veggie pizza?
Hey, man,
Are you serious?
You know how it is.
Oh, my God.
All right, let me see here, Brandon. Okay, we
got my pro wrestling magazines. Yes.
Brandon, really? Come on, man.
I got to stay entertained during the trip. And then one more thing. Oh, my gosh, Jeff. Is this your hair gel? How much hair gel do you have?
Hey,
how much hair gel does one guy need?
Hey, brother, look good, report good. You don't worry about that, man. Besides, you owe me a big one, man.
I do. I need to thank you and Kroger Click List. We're on our way to the game. So Jeff, that's us. That's the video. And for those listening, you had a chance to hear Jeff and I kind of try to sell our lines there. Now, if you don't mind me telling Jeff, and this will be kind of like, I guess, our director's commentary DVD here. I feel like it actually started off pretty well. I feel like by the time we got to the second half of the video, I started selling my lines a little too hard. Like, no one would be that shocked by hair gel. It's at that point in time that the video probably kind of took a turn for the worse, if you don't mind me saying.
No, Brandon, I don't think so, man. I think that was you in character being very excited about the trip. And if folks want to know how excited you're going to be on the way to watch another DawgNation invasion and that Gator Hater countdown, I really think you actually undersold it there a little bit, man. Considering, I was a little boastful there about, hey, we're better actors than pro wrestlers. Maybe The Undertaker and Kane. Maybe we're better vocal actors than those guys. But as far as everything else, Brandon, you're too hard on yourself, man. That was a great freshman debut for you with your acting chops.
But how shocked were you by the bald spot on the top of my head when I kind of leaned down there during that one portion of the video? I mean, seeing that, myself on the screen lets me know that
boy, when it comes to the looks department, I really don't have a lot going for me.
Well, folks may not know this, Brandon, but that kind of shows the big budget we had there for Cox Media to put that together. Most people didn't catch it, but that wasn't the present-day Brandon Adams. That was the 57-year-old Brandon Adams. You were in character, man. They're not the dashing. That's not the dashing dude that everybody sees every day, man. We put a wig on you and everything else, that man. We fixed you up there for character purposes.
Someone in the comments section said we're like Abbott and Costello or Laurel and Hardy. Maybe so. I certainly know which one's going to be Hardy in that combination. Well, anyway, so in that video, we're getting ready to make our way to Jacksonville. That's actually a case of art imitating life because we are on our way down there a little later on today. And I guess, Jeff, if you don't mind, to go away from recruiting here for a moment and what you expect to see on the field. I mean, how do you think the storyline for this game is going to play out tomorrow?
Brandon, man, I've always felt that Georgia-Florida game is going to be on paper, I think Georgia wins 35-14. I think there's a comfortable 21-point win there. But there's too much history. There's too many demons. And everybody says this is this year, this is this singular year. This or these players blocking and tackling. I get all that. I really do. But there have been a lot of times where Georgia has had that same mentality, trying to shed all those echoes of the past, and something weird happened down there in Florida.
Yep.
I think this is a game where Florida is very desperate, and they're going to pull out everything they have to win it. But essentially, Georgia just hits them with the run game, physical run game. That's a quick line for Florida, but it's also very undersized. I think the victory there for Georgia is in a range of 10 to 25 points. If Georgia just lays the wood on them and wins by 35 or 40, I'm gonna be very honest after the game, and I think that's the point where Georgia fans can now begin to get excited about this season. Because to me, maybe I'm a little too old school here, I don't know what type of football team Georgia ever has every season until they get through that Georgia-Florida game.
Yeah, Jeff, I think that's really well said. And for me, when I think about my own sort of viewpoint of the storyline on Saturday, one of the reasons why I was confident about this rivalry taking a turn a year ago, and one of the reasons why here, even on the day before the game, I still feel like that's going to happen. It actually kind of mirrors a lot of what you've been writing for your DawgNation Invasion articles. You've been looking a lot at the game from a recruiting standpoint. What you see is not just in 2017 when Georgia had the number 3 overall class, but really for all the classes since McElwain's been at Florida, Georgia has just been out-recruiting Florida. That includes a class for Rick. That includes 2 classes for Kirby Smart. This is just a better roster, and I expect that over the course of 4 quarters, it may not be obvious from the first quarter, but over the course of 4 quarters, that size, that talent, that athleticism, Georgia's got more healthy players. I just expect that talent to lean on Florida over the course of the game.
I think sometimes the simplest way to say it is usually the best. It would be a tremendous upset if Florida's team, given the resources they have right now, beat this Georgia football team. Georgia's just better. They're better in every phase except maybe special teams, where that's kind of Florida has the edge there if you check the stats. But Georgia simply has better personnel, and they should win this game by a lot.
Well, Jeff, I'm looking forward to being there with you. Of course, we've got the big event tonight. Dos Gatos right there in downtown Jacksonville, and tomorrow starting at 10 a.m. for our DawgNation Invasion Tailgate, brought to you by our friends at R.S. Andrews, Kroger, Marlowe's, and Dixie Vodka, the South's best-tasting vodka. Jeff, it's going to be a great weekend. Hopefully we're celebrating on Saturday night with Dawg fans, and I'll look forward to being a part of it with you for all of it, Jeff.
Hey, Brandon. Hey, safe travels to everybody out there in DawgNation. Hope everybody has a great time down there in Jacksonville.
Let's take a look around the rest of the league. This is SEC Through.
Good stuff there from Jeff Sintel. Looking forward to being with him for not just the game and our DawgNation Invasion Tailgate at Dos Gatos tonight with Dixie Vodka, but don't forget, Jeff Sintel and I will be doing the Dixie Vodka post-game show from Jacksonville tomorrow. So after the game, make sure you go right to the DawgNation Facebook page for our live reaction to whatever happens on the field there at Everbank Stadium. We'll be doing it right there with you on the Dixie Vodka postgame show from Jacksonville immediately after the game. That's going to be a really fun show. Let me also tell you that when you think about the game tomorrow, you want to get ready for the game. That means planning for the opponent, courtesy of our friends at Georgia United Credit Union, who bring the planning for the opponent piece to you at DawgNation.com.
each and every week. That's a written piece by Chip Towers taking a detailed look at the game, and Chip and I also engage a little video conversation as well. You can find Planning for the Opponent at DawgNation.com, brought to you by Georgia United Credit Union and their all-new unified checking account. The account that gives you the comforts of a free checking account with the options to earn more. It's a quick, convenient, rewarding checking account that fits your lifestyle. You can visit gucu.org for the terms and conditions that apply to the account, federally insured by NCUA. All right, I want to talk about a couple things here, and then we're going to get our cocktail party started a little early here on DawgNation Daily. I'll tell you about that coming up. Let me preview the SEC games on Saturday, and then let me give you a look at some of these top national games as well, because on Tuesday, the first college football playoff rankings come out. Depending on how some of these other national games shake out, it could have a big impact on where Georgia's ranked by the playoff selection committee. Let's do the SEC first, though. Let me start with Arkansas Ole Miss. And the weird thing about this game is the fact that Shea Patterson's not playing, but all week long, Ole Miss has been kind of the point spread favorite here. I think this speaks to just how bad Arkansas is and just how off this radar this game is for most people. I thought Ole Miss had a chance to play close and tough with LSU last week. It didn't happen. The truth is, I don't think Ole Miss is very good either, and this is probably not the kind of game that very many SEC fans are paying attention to. But if you're not paying attention to Ole Miss Arkansas, you probably ought to be watching at least a little bit while you can of South Carolina Vanderbilt. At least checking the score, putting an eyeball towards some highlights or something, because South Carolina obviously looms as the opponent for Georgia next Saturday. No matter what happens against Florida, South Carolina would sort of feel like one of those sneaky tough games for the Dogs next week. I thought it was interesting that Marcus Spears from the SEC Network talked about that this week. I think we had this on yesterday's show, that he views South Carolina as the only legitimate threat to Georgia in the East right now. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I do think the game may be a little tougher next week than some Dog fans maybe are considering right now. I think Bentley's a pretty good quarterback. I think that Will Muschamp's getting just everything he can out of this roster right now. Not as strong now as it will be for him over the course of the next couple of years. And it's almost like South Carolina is sort of a zero-calorie version of Georgia, sort of the light, cheap knockoff of Georgia. You know, they're not going to get the same first choice, right of first refusal players the way that Kirby Smart will be. But Muschamp's a pretty good recruiter, and he's going to win some head-to-head battles. He's taking players from Tennessee, for instance. He'll eventually take one or two, maybe even from Clemson. So this is going to be a more talented team over the years, and at least talented enough to be worth paying attention to next Saturday and watching this week against Vanderbilt. Mississippi State is at Texas A&M on Saturday. Strange in this game in that A&M has been the hot team playing well, but Mississippi State on the road's actually the point spread favorite. Kind of an interesting story. Obviously, a Mississippi State win would help Georgia, and I guess to the extent that a Dog fan has a rooting interest in this game, that is what Georgia fans are rooting for, a chance to see another team that Georgia beat up on beat somebody else and continue to increase the resume for the Dogs. I think, it's an interesting side-by-side comparison with Georgia and say another team that's off this week, Alabama. Wins like Mississippi State, Notre Dame. I think those games actually make the Georgia resume right now look a little better than maybe even the undefeated resume for the number one ranked team in the country, Alabama. And one of the reasons why, assuming that Saturday goes as well as Georgia fans hope it could, I think that Georgia's going to be looked at pretty favorably by the college football playoff selection committee. One more SEC game I want to get to, and then I want to mention some top national games here for a moment. So Tennessee as at Kentucky on Saturday. Wildcats were already a point spread favorite, and that was before the John Kelly and Will Ignat suspension. This may be a game where Butch Jones is playing for his job. Now, he probably should have already been fired, but becomes really difficult to keep him if he were to lose to Kentucky. And I think that they're going to lose Kentucky. The truth is, I probably thought they were going to lose Kentucky before the Kelly suspension, and I would think even now it's become even more likely that the Wildcats probably take care of business on Saturday. And I thought that Kyle Tucker, our colleague from SECCompany.com, had kind of an interesting piece this week where, he kind of looked at, Mark Stoops, the Kentucky coach, as not being on all that, much less of a hot seat than Butch Jones might be. Now, Kentucky football fans aren't as passionate as Tennessee football fans are, but even though Kentucky has an okay-looking record right now, it's not like Wildcats fans are beside themselves in excitement about him, so that's something to pay attention to. However, what you'll probably be watching in terms of games other than Georgia-Florida on Saturday is more outside the SEC than inside. I want to throw this graphic up on the screen for you for those of you on Facebook Live, and if you're listening on the radio or on podcast form, you'll be able to hear me talk about it, about just how many good games there are this weekend between teams sort of outside the South but ranked the top 25. Wisconsin's at Illinois. You've got Oklahoma State, West Virginia, a ranked matchup at noon. Penn State, Ohio State, a 3:30 game, same time as Georgia, Florida. TCU, Iowa State, that's a ranked team. Remember, TCU is number 4 in the country. Only a 6% chance, according to the FPI data from ESPN, to remain undefeated. A trip to Iowa State, a tough one there. Also, NC State's at Notre Dame tomorrow night. That's a game that Georgia could be helped again by a Notre Dame win, but at a certain point, Notre Dame is starting to become a playoff contender in its own right. So a big collection of ranked games, top 25 games outside the South. A lot of that will impact where Georgia's ranked by the selection committee on Tuesday. And listen, if Georgia keeps on doing what it's doing, the next few weeks could be a lot of fun here around DawgNation and DawgNation Daily as the Dogs continue to climb that ladder towards being in the college football playoff conversation and that SEC championship game in December, which could be a springboard towards all of that. But as I say all that, I know what Dog fans are thinking. Hey, let's push pause on that. Let's let December take care of itself. For now, let's get ready to think about the cocktail party, and that's good advice, and we'll use that advice as a way of wrapping up the SEC through. All right, speaking of the cocktail party here on DawgNation Daily, we thought it might be nice in honor of all the fun things going on around here, the commitment of James Cook, the end of our Gator Hater countdown, day 0's tomorrow, courtesy of our friends at Kroger to kind of go ahead and get the cocktail party started here a little bit. And what Kroger does for all the big games for Georgia this season, and if you're in Athens, you'll see these cards. They have these recipe cards that they pass out that kind of tell you how you can make a nice, cool thing for your tailgate. Now, a lot of times at Kroger, as you might imagine, it's food-related. Here for the cocktail party, it seemed appropriate for Kroger to do kind of a cool cocktail type thing for that. It's the citrus beer sangria. Now, we're going to bring over the finished product here, but you can get all these ingredients at Kroger, including the hard apple cider. You've got the large grapefruit, the navel orange. You put a lemon in this thing. You can put some pineapple juice, and then we got the South's best tasting vodka, Dixie vodka, going in as well. And you kind of, on the back, it sort of tells you how to sort of mix it all together and chill it all up. Now, y'all know that I'm not the world's greatest when it comes to stuff like that. That's why we've got such a nice host of folks helping us out here at DawgNation Daily. And let's bring this on in here right now. This is the finished product here. Nice picture of this, and you can make this yourself. We'll be having these recipe cards with us at our DawgNation Invasion tomorrow, and you can also find this at DawgNation.com as well. You can get your own recipe here for our citrus beer sangria. When you kind of mix all this up, it makes a nice picture. I mean, how good would this look at your tailgate tomorrow, by the way, to have this picture? You'll and be able to impress everybody that you're bringing there. When it's all said and done, this feels very Today Show-like when you have the ingredients here and it kind of turns into the finished product with the Dixie vodka, the South's best-tasting vodka, kind of mixed in with it here. A nice way to get the cocktail party started. And, you know, it wouldn't really be appropriate for me to tell you about it if I didn't also just confirm the fact that it does indeed taste the way that you want it to taste, that this is in keeping with what Kroger and Dixie vodka and would want this to be. So let me enjoy the citrus beer sangria here to see if this is tailgate approved, cocktail party approved. Let me take a sip here. I have to say, that's delicious. That's delicious. And you'll think it's delicious here as well if you find one of these recipe cards with us tomorrow with our DawgNation Invasion. Or if you go to DawgNation.com, check this out. We do one of these before all the big Georgia games. It's food-related. It's cocktail party-related for the cocktail party. Kroger continues to just be a terrific friend of us here at DawgNation.com and a terrific friend to DawgNation all over the place. Everyone that makes up DawgNation, you know that Kroger's a great spot to be for all your supermarket needs and grocery needs. And by the way, if you want to get the ingredients for your tailgate, if you're like us getting ready to head out to Jacksonville either this afternoon or early tomorrow morning, you want the stuff for your tailgate, well, the best, most efficient way to get that done is with the Kroger Click List. You can go to Kroger.com, find out more information about how you can have your stuff, your order waiting for you, friendly person delivering it to you right when you arrive, right there at your car. We've used it before here at DawgNation.com, and it is absolutely fabulous, and you're going to love that as well. And make sure you try the citrus beer sangria this weekend there in Jacksonville for your DawgNation Daily. What is not a DawgNation Daily tailgate, but you know what I'm saying. Whatever your tailgate is. Hope you will come by and see us, by the way, with our DawgNation Invasion tailgate tomorrow. We're going to be there starting at 10 a.m. Hope you'll be there for that with us. Also at Dos Gatos tonight, downtown Jacksonville, starting at 8 p.m. with our friends from Dixie Vodka, the South's best-tasting vodka. We're going to have a good time with you there, kind of talking about Georgia, Florida. It's not a broadcast. We're just kind of hanging out and having a good time. But we wanted to do that with some Georgia fans who are kind of already going to be there and some folks who want to sample some Dixie vodka and have a good time there with the South's best-tasting vodka.
Let me also remind you as we get ready to close out here today that DawgNation Daily is brought to you in part by our friends at MyBookie, the sports book known for the fast, no-hassle payout when you win. Check out mybookie.ag. Use the promo code DawgNation. You get your first deposit matched up to 100%. It's mybookie.ag, promo code DawgNation. They'll match your first deposit up to 100%. Y'all get ready to enjoy the game on Saturday. We'll see you on Monday back here once again for DawgNation Daily. For those of you on video right now, hope you get ready to enjoy one of the citrus beer sangrias. Can we say hello to Kelly and say thanks to her? Y'all give her a thumbs up on the video for bringing these in today. And, of course, thanks to our friends here at Kroger as well. So if you want to have some time for some comments, we'll get ready to knock a lot of that out here today. I'll take another sip here before we do. Buck Brinson says, Vince Dooley owned Florida. Now it's Kirby's time to do it. And I think that's absolutely right. And obviously none of us know the way the future is going to unfold, right? I mean, even this Saturday brings its own element of surprise, and I don't want anyone to take my confidence about Georgia and the way that the program's being built into thinking or saying that Florida's got nothing for Georgia tomorrow. I expect Florida to play tough in this game. I expect Florida to fight here in this game. I just expect Georgia to be better. And as the commenter just mentioned, not only do I expect Georgia to be better this Saturday, I think Georgia as a program is taking a step towards putting some distance, some gap between it and Florida. And that's even more true given the weird scenario surrounding Jim McElwain this week. One of the reasons why we focused on McElwain a lot this week on DawgNation Daily is because I think this is a story that's going to grow. And there was a beat writer connected to Florida who kind of put the odds at about 50-50 that McElwain's back for 2018. That's true even though he's currently got a commitment from a 5-star quarterback. But Dawg fans will tell you, having a 5-star quarterback commitment's no guarantee of future employment. Rick had one, and he didn't come back for the 2016 season. So you can decide amongst yourself, is McElwain at Florida good for Georgia or not? But clearly this is a program down in Gainesville that's at least enough of turmoil to be debating and asking whether that's a question. Now, Georgia's still got to do its part. It's got to go into the game and put the foot on the throat and not let up, and that's what Georgia fans want to see. But we'll see it maybe this year and maybe a lot in the years ahead as well. Let me get a few more comments. J.C. Howell's calling for a 54-13 Georgia win. Boy, I don't know if my heart can contain that much excitement. Scott McFadden says, okay, this is going to taste really bad. He says, wait, I don't know if Scott lost a bet or what. I guess he had to say go Buckeyes on the show. Maybe he lost a bet on that. But you know what? We'll have a little citrus beer sangria for you to make you feel better for having to say that. It may be the first time that phrase has ever been uttered here on this show. Brett Sellers says he goes to school in Gainesville. Can't wait to wear my Gator Hater shirt to class on Monday. Boy, Brett, that'd be something to see. Some of those Gator Hater T-shirts making their way down to Gainesville. Wear it proudly with a big final score. Reginald Johnson says 49-9. Speaking of big final scores, Dogs on top. Obviously a reference to the Larry Munson line from 1980. Junior Baker, 52-9, calling it now. Wow. And by the way, Junior was all over that James Cook announcement last night on Twitter. But he's going for a 52-9 blowout. Boy, I mean, maybe I'm just not confident enough, but I don't, I see a game where it's, the point spread's a factor, but not until the fourth quarter. But y'all try to tell me in the Tennessee game that I was underrating what Georgia's going to be able to do. So I'm going to take y'all's word for it on this one as well. Darian Daniel wants a shutout. Dario Glenn says beating Florida by 21. Ron Winky Thomas says, I'm hoping Coach Tucker unleashes the pass rush tomorrow. Malik's going to be forced to replace Felipe due to the quarterback being roughed up. I had Zach Abolverdi, who covers Florida on AT&T SEC Country Live yesterday, and I asked him about, what Kirby had said on Wednesday. Kirby was on the SEC Coaches Teleconference, and he said that he was expecting to see Malik Zaire in the game on Saturday. I asked Zach if they'd see Zaire on Saturday from Florida's perspective, and he said probably not. But what the commenter there is saying, that Georgia's going to be so rough on Felipe, they've got to put Zaire into the game. Felipe is one of those guys that, because he's not the most mobile in the world. Now, he did have, I know, that 80-yard run against, was it LSU or Texas A&M that he had the long run against? I don't remember. It was one of those games. He had that really long run. But this is not a long run guy. This is not the kind of guy that's going to, stay real mobile in the pocket all that much. Now, is Florida going to try to do the max protect thing a little bit like Missouri did? Maybe so, because they know that Frank's arm's big enough, and the receivers, if Cleveland's healthy, especially fast enough, they might be able to connect on some of that kind of stuff. But this is not one of those things where I think Felipe Franks is going to be able to just move around the pocket, stay mobile. I mean, I think that the Georgia front seven could make things tough on him. I think that's a pretty good point in the comment section to bring up. Chris Little says, Brandon, you being cautious is expected. We haven't stepped up in the past, but this is a different mentality. I sort of agree with you on all that front. I do. I do think Georgia's got a different mentality here. Obviously, the past for Georgia would sort of belie the current mentality because of the fact that it wasn't very good. And as far as my caution on the game, as I was telling some of our folks who work with us off the air here, for me, it's not about, strange things happen when you get to Jacksonville. Maybe that's been true for Georgia in the past. As you said, I don't think that's an issue for this team. But, there is that part of me in my mind that has to stay open to the fact that, 2 touchdown underdogs play well frequently. Not just Georgia against teams it's supposed to beat, but all across college football. I mean, this is not by nature an easy sport to predict. And, the Georgia-Florida game, could be that way as well, especially with Florida having the extra week to prepare. And, it's the same kind of, motivational issue here. Does Florida want to go into the month of November with nothing to play for, no bragging rights whatsoever? I mean, from that standpoint, I would expect there to be some motivation, some will to play, but ultimately I don't think it's going to be enough, and I do think Georgia gets at least a 2-touchdown win. But, boy, I don't see quite the 42-10, 52-9, some of what y'all are saying. But you know what? As I said, I didn't see 41-0 coming against Tennessee either, and a lot of y'all did, and so I'll let you have that. Scott McFadden weighing back in again. Jason Lambert says, rivalry fun facts, the differences in the two records against each other as sort of, talked about by both Georgia and Florida, as they say on the CBS broadcast every year. These two teams can't even agree on the number of times they played each other, so always kind of fun stuff. By the way, I asked this earlier while we were waiting for Jeff, and I'd like to have y'all weigh in again. So we teamed up with the UGA Vault today to do something a little different off the top of the show. I thought Friday before the game, let's not be too heavy. Let's be a little light. Let's, not get too serious. Let's just enjoy some happy memories. A little different than the way we normally do things. I'm always curious about, did you enjoy that? Was that a fun thing for us to do? I'd love to hear from y'all more about that if you haven't weighed in on that already, because obviously I only want to do things that y'all want to do. Ashley Lewis asks a question. Brandon, do you think there is an intentional timetable for these recruits? Seem very timely and spaced out well to keep the interest momentum going. Ashley, I wouldn't put it past Kirby Smart to kind of have all this kind of timed out. And we've seen him before. The one that always comes to mind for me is the Trey Blunt announcement. Remember how Blunt made his commitment public basically right after Demetrius Robertson chose Cal over Georgia? We've seen Smart kind of use some of that stuff before. Was this the perfect time? A week essentially after the Adam Anderson, which was like a week after the Justin Fields, to kind of space this out? I mean, you know how attuned to details Kirby Smart is. Would you put it past him to do something like that? I absolutely would not. Matthew O'Banion says, do you think that the defense will be much improved after the bye week? I wonder. I don't know if I have the numbers to back this up, but it does feel like the pass rush is a little different now than it was, say, earlier in the season, when Georgia was really getting after Brandon Wimbush and seemed to really get after Nick Fitzgerald. You haven't seen that group as much lately. Kirby Smart's even admitted that. Is that by design because they're, protecting the secondary a little more, or is that, the team is doing a better job blocking up front? I guess that's one of the things I'm looking to see, if Georgia can kind of kick that pass rush back into gear. It was the Davin Bellamy sack, the Lorenzo Carter sack. The difference in that win on the road at Notre Dame. And in big games, whether it's Florida or something later on the season, that pass rush going to have to return to Georgia. Not just getting sacks, but those sacks at timely moments. One of the, I hate to use a word like clutch because I think that can be misused, misapplied at times. But the most clutch moment for Georgia all season long was Bellamy blowing through there and getting Wimbush in the fourth quarter there in South Bend. And those of you who were there know how much fun that was. Those of you who were watching it on TV, I'm sure you were jumping around your living room or the bar, wherever you were when that happened. Georgia's got to get back to that here before the season's done, I believe. Ron Winky Thomas says, Kirby's breeding a new mentality in DawgNation, a winning expectation. We're unfortunately used to the heartbreak every year, time to grow. Ron, if every Georgia fan in the world was looking at that comment, I think they would all favorite it. They'd all, like button that one, because that, to me, really just summarizes the way that Georgia fans feel about the metamorphosis that's taking place right now. And it started in recruiting. It's happening on the field right now, and it continues, I think, against Florida on Saturday. And I think Jeff Sintel was kind of talking about some of that a moment ago, too. Let me hit a few more here. Trent Boswell asked about cheap shots from Florida. It wouldn't surprise me if Florida, tries to do something to get a mental edge early in this game. That wouldn't be a huge surprise to me, but I'd also not be surprised if Georgia has a pretty good response as well. Some of y'all thought Missouri was trying to do some of that last week, and you saw what Sony Michel did. Billy Borland says, coming to Jacksonville to get one of those T-shirts, B.A. Billy, we'll look forward to seeing you starting at 10 a.m. right there for our DawgNation Invasion tailgate. Ashley Lewis says, Brandon, the real question is, are you going to wear cutoff blue jean shorts with that shirt? Now, that would be hilarious. Definitely a Gator hater. So here's the thing. As funny as that would be, I think I owe it to the public to have as many clothes on as possible at all times. The more of my flesh that I show, the more uncomfortable I probably make the people around me. So I'll try to keep my full legs covered tomorrow. Dice Cake Terakami says, is Jeff about to barge in and get you to Kroger? You know what? That'd actually be pretty funny. Jeff had mentioned maybe trying to do that at one point. That would be a kind of a funny thing, Dice Cake. J.C. Howell says, talking about Gators fans living in the past of these last few decades. And here's the one thing that pains me to admit, but I think you do kind of have to say this a little bit, that they do have some bragging rights. And, I don't think it does Georgia or Georgia fans any good to pretend that's not true. Hey, 30 years kind of a long time. The 27 years since 1990, kind of a long time. You just got to give them credit for that. Shake their hand, say good game, move on, new era right now. And that's why the game's important tomorrow. And I can't remember if I said this off the top of the show or if I just meant to say it off the top of the show. There is an element of me, and I was thinking about this morning. I was, getting ready for the show, kind of driving into work, and I was thinking about this. There is a lot that could come to Georgia before the end of the year. And if you listen to the mainstream media, there's this fast forward button mentality of, hey, we want to see Georgia and Alabama in the SEC championship game, the two undefeated teams. Let's just hurry up and get there. That's kind of like the national mentality of the only thing in the SEC worth seeing right now is Georgia play Alabama in the SEC championship, two undefeated teams, and one of them will go to the college football playoff. And I want to get there. I'm excited about that. And I want to see Georgia in the playoff. I'm excited about that. But if you gave me the power to blink my eyes and get to December right now, I wouldn't want to be there. If you gave me the power to get to January in the college football playoff, assuming Georgia's going to be in it, I wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't want to be anywhere on the schedule, anywhere other than right now. Because while Georgia's got bigger and better things maybe to come by the end of the season, Saturday is important for reasons all of its own. It's another step towards owning the East. It's another step towards getting to Atlanta. But it's more than just that. It is about people like me who are 40 and grew up around a rivalry that I just hated. Just hated seeing the way things were playing out between the Dogs and the Gators. And hungry for that to change. And for the Florida fans who would, talk trash after the game in Jacksonville, realize you didn't really have a whole lot to say back to them. So December will get here, and the SEC championship game will be whatever it is. January, maybe the Final Four, the college football playoff includes Georgia. That's a different month. That's a different conversation. For right now, Georgia doesn't need to be motivated by anything more than just it's time to kind of go out there and beat Florida. And that's one of the things that has kind of motivated my conversation all year long. We'll get ready to wrap up here with a couple more comments. Titus Colbreth says, one game at a time, keep chopping wood. Justin Michelle McGee says, savor the flavor of this awesome season. Boy, that's well said. Leslie Stokes-Waller says, really enjoying the season. That's true. A lot of keep chopping wood. Mike Johnson, I should say Mike Jackson, Ashley Lewis, a lot of folks there. Dennis Wood says, thinking back to a 2010 game. I remember that one. Boy, I tell you. Trent Boswell says he's going to be at the SEC championship. Can't wait to see the Dogs play. A lot of comments coming in. Kenneth Davis says, tired of losing to Florida, especially since I live there. Well, Kenneth, we hope to see Georgia change that for you on Saturday. J.C. Howell says, hoping and praying that Kirby's going to have the team focused. I think my guess is that he probably will. Najer Yang says, enjoy the ride. So somebody says, Roosevelt Grimes says, don't drink too much Dixie vodka. We need you to do the show after we win tomorrow. Listen, Roosevelt, you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to be sober as a judge, ready to go for the Dixie vodka post-game show immediately after the game. It's all business. Tomorrow's a work day for me. It'll be fun for everybody else, and I want to contribute to other people's fun. But I'll have my proverbial suit and tie on, my lunch pail in hand. It's going to be a work day for me, and we're ready to do that. Hey, let me just say it to all of you.
hope you enjoy the game tomorrow, wherever you're going to be for it. In Jacksonville with us, at your own home. A lot of you live all over the place around DawgNation. Some of you live very close to enemy territory when it comes to this game. Wherever you are, hope you enjoy it. Let's get ready to celebrate after the game, hopefully. Come back here on Monday, get ready to talk about it, and then let's get ready to buckle up and wherever this thing goes next. It's been a great ride thus far. I love hearing from so many of you talking about how much you're enjoying it and trying to take it one game at a time, much like Kirby Smart would say, and the next one's tomorrow. And as you know here on DawgNation Daily, we believe it's a big one. Enjoy the cocktail party. We'll see you again next time.